Gamescom is here, and that means a whole bunch of new games to see. Today, GameRanx brings you the 10 best new games of Gamescom 2016. Quick disclaimer, these are games that we may have known about, but haven't been shown in any real capacity until Gamescom. Number 10, Metal Gear Solid Survive. I guess we had to include this on the list because it is new and some people are going to want to play it, but to some, Metal Gear Survive is kind of a Metal Gear fan's worst nightmare. It comes off a little bit like a cynical cash grab, dime a dozen zombie survival game with the Metal Gear name spray painted on the front of it. But looking on the bright side, it's not going to be a full-priced game, at least. And it's also running on the really great Fox engine, and supposedly will retain the stealth gameplay from Metal Gear Solid 5. At least, that's what Konami has said. I don't know how much trust we have in Konami at this point. We're not really that hopeful, but we'll wait and see before we make any final judgments. Number 9 is Blackwood Crossing, which is a first-person adventure game with colorful, cartoony graphics that looks like it might be something that's bright and happy, but what we've seen of it devolves into sort of, well, kind of freaky. The developer is billing it as a seemingly ordinary train ride that evolves into a magical story of life, love, and loss, which could really mean anything, but I'm excited because it looks like a genuinely interesting story with very stylized and cool looking graphics. It has shades of Alice in Wonderland and BioShock, which frankly leaves me quite interested. Number 8, WWE 2K17 looks to bring better interactivity to environments. Not necessarily a lot more, but more fluidity. And in wrestling, that is important. Chairs, tables, walls, whatever. It's all tools in the wrestler's tool belt. I'm excited to see all of the new changes in the Wrestler Creator. As always, this series is pretty good, and I'm excited to see them launch one without any bugs at launch. Number 7, Get Even, which is a game we kinda knew about a couple years ago, and then it dropped off the face of the earth. But we actually got to see gameplay. Get Even is meant to blur the lines between reality and virtual reality, giving you a thriller scenario that doesn't seem to really ground itself at all, which is very interesting on account a lot of games intentionally do everything they can to seem real. As has always been the case, the footage makes you intentionally question whether or not you're in a synthesized reality or in organic reality. And the game looks exciting, a bit scary, but most of all steeped in atmosphere. It also showed off some very interesting mechanics and should be an exciting game to follow. Number 6, Destiny Rise of Iron, the final expansion for Destiny before Destiny 2, which I'm assuming that we'll start hearing more about after the release of Rise of Iron, but it does some marked changes in the aesthetic, reflecting the name of the expansion. It really does look like an Iron Age. We'll have a new story, new Crucible maps, and a load of new weapons. Bungie's done a good job of trying to find out what people actually want out of Destiny and putting it into the game via expansions. I'm excited for Destiny 2 for this very reason, but Rise of Iron, if any of the other expansions are a good indicator, will be a good game on its own. Number 5, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Zombies, which takes place in an amusement park in space, and that's where the Sonic Colors resemblances end. It looks like they've really ramped up the goofy zombie action the Call of Duty series typically brings in these modes, and gives us a really cool aesthetic that reeks of the 80s. You've got the neon colors, you've got the clothes that reflect the period, and it really looks like one of those fun sci-fi 80s things. Number 4, Party Hard Tycoon is kind of a theme park-ish nightclub simulator with pretty cool retro art that allows you to plan various themed parties at your nightclub, advertise them, and attempt to make some moolah. Like I said, it has pixel art graphics, and through that have actually created a very interesting look for a club with very cool lighting. And I have to say, I'm very interested to see how they'll make this a game that you can play for a long period of time, because the description of it makes it appear a little bit limited. I have to say, I hope that there's some kind of SimCity-esque disaster element, or just something that can give you something to overcome. But the graphics and what the gameplay looks like, I have to say, I do think looks very nice. Number 3, Little Nightmares is a stealth platformer that takes a slightly cutesy, slightly horrifying approach to depicting all of your childhood fears in an interesting and sometimes lonely looking manner. It kind of looks to play on nostalgia and horror in a way that I think is a very interesting approach. I love the color palette. It's very diverse in colors, but also muted, and the art style itself looks to be somewhat unique, and I mean that in a good way. Frankly, we need more stealth platformers, and one that's steeped with as much atmosphere as this one. We're lucky. We're lucky people. Number 2, Agony, or the Hell Simulator to some, is a game where you play as a lost soul in hell who's trying to figure out a way out. What they've done is try to create a hyper-realistic version of hell, which is very interesting on account most people try to go for a very stylized one. This one kind of, all things considered, seems a realistic depiction of hell. And whether or not you believe in hell, I don't really care. The point is, this game looks very interesting. There's a possession mechanic, and the sound design and soundtrack are amazing. Really a creepy game, unsettling to the core, and for some reason I sense this is going to be a Let's Play favorite. And finally, number 1, we saw some real footage of Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. Now, this footage took more of the approach that we saw in the demo, which, believe it or not, doesn't reflect the actual game at all, but we are seeing more of that PT/Silent Hills style horror, including a ghost with terrible teeth that gets up in your face. Now, we still haven't seen any combat out of the game, but it's nice to see the environment we're going to be taking place in. It's a very run-down sort of plantation mansion, and given all the other games are still canon, this takes place in the same universe, just a few years after the previous game. I'm very interested to see what on earth happens here. Also, as soon as they show off the combat, I am there, because it really looks like they've got the atmosphere part down, and it's really nice to see them putting this kind of love into a Resident Evil game once again. And a few bonus games for you. First, 9 Parchments, which is a co-op blast 'em up from the creators of Trine. Cartoon Network Battle Crashers, which is a beat-em-up side-scroller game reminiscent of the old arcades, featuring Cartoon Network characters. Fallout 4 Nuka World, which is the final expansion for Fallout 4, takes place in an amusement park that raiders have taken over. What was your favorite thing at Gamescom? Let us know in the comments. We'll talk to you there. If you enjoyed this, please click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every single day of the week. As always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter @FalconTheHero, and we'll see you next time right here on GameRanx.